Oh yeah, that's a very clear rundown. You know, many people don't know this, but apartheid regime is not only in South Africa.
Mm.
There are several African countries that had apartheid-like structures. Maybe not the same uh, name wasn't called like that, but the practices were that way. One was South Sudan. So what the Arabs, not the all Arab community, but the Arab political elites from Khartoum were doing in the south was apartheid regime, continuing what was started by the British. Another one was Liberia, where you have like these American Liberians practically denying civil rights to native Liberians, leading to a civil war as well. Or you had a apartheid like regime in like in Algeria as well,
Yeah.
uh, leading to the War of Independence, one of the longest in Africa. You also had a apartheid-like regime in Kenya. People don't know this
Yeah.
until until 1954, I think. We have a state of emergency, and then Mama War for liberation. One of these things, all of these conflicts had one thing in common: is that the people, knowingly aware that economic pursuits would be endangered, decided to pursue self-determination, which is in itself
Yeah.
very noble goal. So the discourse of whether South Sudan was ready for independence should not be weighed out on economic terms. They were aware, but they really needed respect, and that is more important. Freedom and self-governance is sometimes more important than that. These are the issues
Yeah.
that could be secondary. But I wanted to push back to you on that the idea that the South Sudanese, maybe northern or central people, they had no idea of how to run society. No, they were the oldest people who had lived by the Nile. They had technology that was suitable to living by the Nile. They had thousands of years of civilization. Just the absence of writing or reading doesn't mean people are not people.
Mhm.
Yeah, but we tend to think that because we've been taught in the
Yeah.
last 100 years to equate humanity and civilization with written record. Doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. But on a historical context, that's
Mm.
actually that's the igniting flame for the conflict itself. Because like most of the people in the southern Sudan were being dehumanized. Like they, because of their cattle, like the ability of like living with cattle, raising cattle, sacrificing their life for cattle. So people literally like dehumanized them. Like they thought like those people. And actually, when you go back to all history books, I know it's been written by men and all this stuff. It's actually written exactly like the animals. Like
That's
when
how the
when
Arabs wrote the
yeah,
South
yeah.
Sudanese history.
Yes, exactly. If my father, so I will always get these stories from my father because my father lived in all those eras. Um, he knew exactly how people treated them, and my father will tell me exactly like back then in history when we are young, we were literally called the animals. And then the first history books that I actually read, that they read to us in school, and that was in North Sudan, and it's in an Arab school. And in that book, it's so we didn't they didn't have actually a word for like southern Sudanese because we live in the south, so we become like the southern Sudanese. But instead, they will always say the animals. You see, which is kind of interesting. Like I know I'm completely disagreeing with that, but that's actually what happened, and that's what South Sudanese
So it's
became.
not like these people internalize this thing. It's
Yeah,
just how they saw them.
yeah, exactly.
But it's not like the South Sudanese people, oh, we accept that we are animals, or something. But that's how they saw them.
Yeah.
And they saw them so strongly that they waged a war in
Mhm.
order to maintain their animal status.
Yeah,
Can you
yeah,
think about
and
that for a minute? Huh?
yeah, it's kind of interesting because, like, I don't know, maybe by that time they have a lot of incentive. Maybe they are referring to the people who raise the animals and they call them the animals. Maybe they didn't exactly mean that those people are less than human or something like that. So that's why I said, like, because it's in a historical context, that's why I'm saying it like that. but I because I didn't live in that, and then most of the time I listen to stories, especially like from our parents and from our grandparents. One of the greatest thing about Africa as whole, like sometimes you have those flame nights where you sit down and your father start narrating his stories and stuff, so that you know a lot of your history, your origin. Yeah. So most of the time when we are raised as a kids, we will sit down and then we'll have one of our elders will tell us like first hand information, because they actually lived on that. And they will literally tell us that we are telling you that not because we fueled it or we added our own vocabularies in it to make it sound bad, but that's exactly how people used to call us. This is how it is.
It
So
is
like,
what it is.
yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. So now, how did this